Anne here, and this is More Than a Love Interest, the show where we talk about the arcs of female characters in film. Today, we are talking about Lisa Frankenstein. We'll get into how the creature was made for her, Lisa's character arc, and how this story builds on the original. Let's get started.
No, I can't. I can't do that. Not until we bury the body.
Let's start off not by talking about Lisa, but about the monster in this Frankenstein movie, because he is a perfect example of how to do a controversial trope. The creature is the platonic ideal of the trope born sexy yesterday. I might someday make a video about that trope specifically, since it disproportionately features female characters, but today I'd rather make the point that tropes are just building blocks. None are universally good or bad, it all depends on how they are used by the story.
After my mom died, I got diagnosed with traumatic mutism. That's where you don't talk at all. Are you going to talk?
Now, if you're not aware, born sexy yesterday means that a character is put into a new situation and some regular person shows them around with some sexy undercurrents to their relationship. The reason it gets a bad rap is the power imbalance inherent to one person, the sexy one, not knowing anything and having to depend completely on the other person. Rather than get bogged down with how that can lean into misogyny when there's a hot, helpless lady, we're going to compare our handsome, helpless creature here with another handsome, helpless creature, Edward Scissorhands. There are a lot of similarities between the two. They both lack hands, for example, but obviously that's not why I decided to compare them here. Both are unable to fit into society due to, well, profane and unholy subversions of life and death.
Power of Satan is in him. I can feel it.
Both are immediately smitten with their ladies, who initially are not on board, but they share romantic moments by the end. Both kill their rival for her affection, and both have reason to be apologetic toward her because of their actions and are willing to accept her judgment. And of course, both are great examples of how men are much hotter when they're dirtied up and don't do a lot of talking.
Does he have more of a basketball bod or a football bod?
He doesn't play sports. He's cerebral.
We don't support this fellow currently, but I'd be lying if I said this version didn't have an effect on me when I was younger.
Really hope this goth phase ends soon.
Anyway, sounds good so far, right? But sadly, this section is not about how both are great examples of doing Born Sexy yesterday right. So let's briefly go through the main points of the stories and see where they differ.
Besides, Taffy says it's a waste of time to try and fix a boy. It's better just accept a guy's flaws.
Edward was created by Vincent Price. His character, but he passes away before he can finish him. So then Edward is all alone up here for a long time, whiling away the hours by clipping newspapers and trimming the hedges into beautiful designs. The creature also has an artistic side. He composes music and enjoys poetry. His family passes away, and the lady he courted has abandoned him, so he is also all alone before passing away himself. Edward is discovered by Peg, the Avon lady, and she takes him home right away. We are treated to a delightful scene of him getting ready to face society, including Peg attempting multiple makeup concoctions to fix his complexion.
Then you blend and blend and blend. Blending is the secret.
The creature is reanimated by a mysterious lightning storm. Right before it, Lisa was at his grave, making this request.
I wish I was with you.
So as soon as he awakens, he knows right where to go. Lisa's terrified as he tries to get to her until he settles down and she sees that he was born sexy just now. He identifies himself and attempts to court her, but she's not on board. Instead, she gets him cleaned up and we are treated to this delightful 80s montage of him trying different outfits until they settle on the right one.
Looks cool.
Edward has a similarly fraught introduction to Kim, who comes home early and finds him in her room. Peg and Bill settle everyone down, and then things go peacefully for a while. The neighbors ambush them to meet Edward, but he is quite a hit with his artistic talents. He is obviously smitten with Kim, but from afar, as she is busy with school and her boyfriend, and he is busy with Peg and attempting to start a business.
Don't you worry. This isn't the end of it. We'll get your money somehow.
The creature, meanwhile, meets Lisa on her level because he picks out an outfit for her to wear to school the next day, and after he hears how Janet talks about her, he takes revenge. That escalates when Lisa gets home and Janet confronts her, saying she'll put her in an institution. Nurse Ratched costume here, not an accident. The creature has to think fast to save Lisa from this possibility, and he takes the opportunity to get something he needs too. Lisa's willing to roll with all this, fortunately, and more than happy to help put him back together. Meanwhile, Kim and Edward have family dinners together. Lisa has a plan to give the creature a hand, tricking the boy who assaulted her at the party, and the creature kills him with an axe. Then they bond over their shared love of music, Lisa insisting that their actions were necessary.
You saved me.
And they perform a duet.
I can't fight this feeling any longer.
But don't worry, our other romantic leads are also bonding over crime. Kim's boyfriend Jim tricks Edward into breaking into Jim's house, and is sure he'll do it if Kim asks. Edward gets arrested, and Kim wants to know why he didn't rat them out.
Then why'd you do it?
Because you asked me to.
So Kim's relationship with Jim is souring because of how he treats Edward, and Edward attempted to convey his feelings to Kim. Lisa and the creature's relationship also takes a step forward at this point. It comes out that Janet never made it to her conference, and Lisa is freaking out. Fortunately, the creature gives her a massage, after which they have a heart-to-heart.
I want that. I want to do it with someone I truly love.
And the creature is startled to hear that he still has a romantic rival after all that.
But I don't want to die a virgin.
Both of our heroes are thinking they've gotten their feelings across, but the ladies are not on the same page romantically, still thinking about the other guy they liked before him. Then things go from bad to worse for both of them. Edward accidentally hurts Kim, intentionally breaks a lot of stuff, shares an intimate moment with her, saves her brother, is run out of town, and is followed back to the mansion. Jim accosts Edward and Kim, and Edward kills him. Kim tells everyone that they killed each other, and we go back to the framing device for Kim to talk about the snow.
If you weren't up there now, I don't think it would be snowing. Sometimes you can still catch me dancing in it.
The creature, meanwhile, tries to convince Lisa not to go to see Michael, and then has to wait in the car while she does anyway. He hears her scream, then hurries up to defend Lisa once again. He kills Michael and would kill Taffy, but Lisa stops him, so he goes back to his grave to await Lisa's wrath. She instead falls into his arms, and then things go very well for him. He gets one last body part and proceeds to consummate his wedding with Lisa in two very different ways. And we end the movie with him reading a Percy Shelley poem to his new bride.
Sphered moon as twilight to the western star, thou, beloved, art to me. Here.
She's alive!
Edward is the protagonist of the story, and his born yesterday isn't really for Kim's benefit. Kind of more for Peg's, honestly, so it's a little weird to ignore her as the movie progresses. In actuality, it's there for the audience.
When I brought Edward down here to live with us, I really didn't think things through.
But the main issue I have with it is that he remains unchanged by his experiences. We met him here alone, and that is how he ends the movie. This is framed as good for him because he's such a pure cinnamon roll. Society could never accept him.
And now I think that maybe it might be best if he goes back up there.
His being born yesterday is not a flaw, it's the point of the film.
Because at least there he's safe.
Kim is similarly unchanged. We don't know what attracted her to Jim before, and we don't know enough about her to see that she fell for Edward, or if this was a good thing for her character.
Run.
The only reason Edward falls in love with her is because she is beautiful. She has really no character traits for him to admire. And if she falls in love with him, we don't really know. We just know she prefers him to this asshole, which isn't saying a lot.
Just get out of here, okay? Just go!
So at the end, she says,
I would rather him remember me the way I was.
meaning that this fairy tale concludes with our romantic couple basically the same before and after they met. And that's not how fairy tales are supposed to work.
Oh, that's a long story, sweetheart.
I want to hear.
So when I say that the creature is the platonic ideal of this trope, what I mean is that he is born sexy yesterday, so their relationship develops both of our characters naturally.
When I said I wished I was with you, I meant I wished I was in the ground, dead, because life sucks and people are jerk-offs.
He shows up there for her, sure, but he certainly loves her because of how she treats him and who she is as a person. She takes care of him. She empathizes with his loss and loneliness because she's experienced her own.
They kept saying, time heals all wounds, but that's a lie. Time is the wound. It takes you further and further from that place when you were happy.
Before they even meet, we know that he lost his family and Lisa lost hers. We know that she suffered from traumatic mutism for years.
I haven't said this many words in a row in forever.
And that explains how easily she understands him, even though he cannot speak.
He's a very popular character and his patch doesn't define him. What's his name? Patch. His name is Patch.
Both were unlucky in love and looking for real companionship, and that's what they get right away. It builds into a meaningful relationship as they go through adventures together.
Excuse me. I tell you everything.
They build each other up, sometimes literally.
Well, I can't just get you new parts. I mean, you're a dead man. Not a Chrysler LeBaron.
The creature is missing 3 body parts at the beginning. The first to be replaced is his ear, taken from Lisa's stepmother who never listened to her.
Oh, you're just goddamned inconsiderate!
And given to someone who always will. The second is a hand, taken from the boy who assaulted Lisa.
Come on, Lisa, just for a minute.
And given to someone who will touch her only when asked.
What? Where is I?
And finally, this body part, taken from Michael Trent, who used it to betray Lisa.
Sister share, huh?
And given to someone who will, well, I'm gonna let you use your imagination here. Edward's creator did not finish him, and at the end of the movie, he is still not finished. The point is that he did not need to change for society, they needed to change for him. They couldn't, or wouldn't, so he rightfully retreated from it.
If he weren't up there now, I don't think it would be snowing.
The creature is missing pieces at the start and ends the film having regained his humanity. This was done through continual reciprocity with the woman he loves, starting with both of them dressing the other, and ending with him helping Lisa regain her humanity after her death. Truly his beloved wife.
Oh, Mary, dear, that you were here.
So yes, this is the best example of Born Sexy Yesterday. It doesn't have to be sexist and can instead be a great way to explore how a character thinks about their own world. And it can be used to demonstrate how characters with very different life experiences can grow and change as a result of interacting with each other. Lisa reconsiders her place in the world and her family, while the creature becomes whole and reconsiders what from his old life he wants to keep. And both get to decide to make a new life together. It's a wonderful story. So let's dig into Lisa's side of things.
You had a whole life. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I do.
For our next section, let's dig into Lisa and her character arc. We'll use The Heroine's Journey by Maureen Murdoch, as usual. Let's start chronologically with what traumatized Lisa originally, and what traumatizes us all, to be honest. In a fairly literal example, the feminine from which Lisa is separated is her mother, who loved and cared for her before an axe-wielding psycho killed her.
I can never ever talk about it, Lori, for personal and legal reasons, and I also pinky swore.
At least according to school gossip.
I've heard stuff. I'd be screwed up if I were her too.
Yeah.
The rosary that she gave Lisa is symbolic of the feminine and what Lisa needs and has lost.
It was my mom's.
She uses it to express her love for the people who love her back, but she doesn't realize either of them do until the end.
She could probably even do pageants if she had congeniality.
So she starts out separated from being loved. The second step for our heroine is to gain masculine allies. There's a bit of a bait and switch with that for Lisa, because here it looks like Michael Trent, the guy she has a crush on, is finally noticing her, and maybe always has.
You like my poems?
I wouldn't publish them if I didn't.
That doesn't work out, but don't worry, someone is here for Lisa. Like most masculine allies, the creature will be by her side through the rest of the journey. Now with an ally, our heroine goes through the road of trials. This starts out fairly mundane for Lisa. She goes to school as usual, but now her crush actually talks to her again.
Did you happen to take any notes in White's class?
Thanks, creature, for the great outfit choice.
Are guys so simple that you just have to put on a pirate skeezer dress and suddenly they want to talk to you?
While she's gone, the creature gets up to some shenanigans at home. With unfortunate consequences, Janet confronts Lisa, and things are about to go badly for her.
Because a little psycho whore put worms on my diet plate.
Except our knight in rotting armor is here to save the day.
I talked to the head of the juvenile program at Serenity Manor, and you are being admitted.
The creature protects Lisa from Janet, and that brings us to our next step, the illusion of success.
Don't tell Mom I said this, but it's actually kind of nice not having her in town.
Lisa is freed from her awful stepmother. The guy she likes talk to her. The boy who assaulted her is the perfect choice to help her new friend become whole again.
Don't feel bad about what we did. Janet was gonna put me in a psych ward. That hand was gonna do terrible things.
The next step is the darkest point for our heroine, spiritual aridity. This starts as Lisa's plans begin to fall apart.
What if she's been kidnapped?
Shit.
We're running out of time. They're gonna find Janet.
We killed 2 people. I could get the clink for life or the electric chair.
That's like a tanning bed, but for criminals.
But she has a new plan.
I'm just gonna do it tomorrow. I'm just gonna offer my body to him.
So she goes to his house and finds that, oh no, he's already getting busy with her sister. That betrayal ruins her plans and makes her feel more alone than ever.
You knew I liked him, and you went after him on purpose.
Truly the worst thing that has happened to her so far.
Do you know how uncool that is?
After this dark time, our heroine has to dig down deep to recover from the emotional turmoil she's been feeling. What I like about Lisa is how quickly she bounces back and realizes what is actually important to her.
God, don't hurt her!
She doesn't descend into vengeance, even given the opportunity.
What is wrong with you?
She had a taste of it earlier, but even though Taffy has hurt her, it isn't the same way that this kid did.
Hold your stupid head!
So this step is more about digging down deep to realize who has been there all along and who hasn't.
You can't blame her, kiddo.
It's okay. One step. Right foot, left foot. Hold my hand.
The heroine then urgently yearns to reconnect to the feminine. For Lisa, this means better clarity in knowing how people around her feel about her and on whom she should bestow her affection.
Nope, stay.
Michael Trent, R.I.P., was not going to value her, and that sucks. But she realizes all the things Taffy did for her.
Why don't you use my tanning bed? Hey, Lisa, you okay? Did they give you something? Hey, you! Mom, be nice. I'm sure Lisa's fingers hurt from all that sewing. We can't just send off Lisa to the snake pit. She can barely survive PE. Boobs look great, by the way. Can one of you guys bring Lisa home at the end of the day?
When the creature turns from Michael to Taffy, Lisa urgently rushes forward to stop him and save her, having finally realized that they really are sisters.
Good, good, good. Hands inside. Okay.
The next step is to heal the split with the feminine, as we see here when Lisa has a heart-to-heart with Taffy for the last time and admits her feelings.
Thank you for being nice to me when no one else was. You actually went out of your way to try to tell people I was part of your family. You really actually wanted me to be your sister.
It will be completely resolved at the end when Taffy is wearing the rosary Lisa gave her. It was given to Lisa out of love, and she gives it to the two people who end up loving her the most. Lisa can't get her mother back, her father ignores her, and her stepmother hated her. But Taffy was there, looking out for her all along. So Lisa gives her the necklace to symbolize her love and heals some of what was broken by the loss of their mothers.
You are, you know? You are my sister.
Nearing the completion of her journey, the heroine makes peace with the masculine. Lisa shows resolve as she picks up the axe, taking ownership of her trauma by being the axe wielder instead of the victim, and she could kill the creature. She could become the murderer, but she realizes she doesn't want to do that. Instead, she falls into his arms and is finally prepared to listen to what he's been trying to express all along. I know I've occasionally talked about other movies that do this step literally, but I'm pretty sure that this scene where Lisa is sewing certain things to our hero,
It's actually like the least important part, really. We can do other things and it's fine, it's fine. Oh.
is representing our heroine healing the wounded masculine in the most literal this step will ever be. Thanks, Diablo Cody.
You got it all for me?
The final step for our heroine is to integrate the masculine and the feminine. Like the previous step, this is done in a pretty literal fashion. Very tastefully, of course. They are married now. And then the relationship is further consummated by Lisa dying so she can join him in undeath forever.
I don't know how I was ever afraid of you.
But we also get healing with Taffy. She is shown to be getting along with her father figure. She's dressed more femininely, like her mother, but wearing Lisa's rosary, suggesting that she is healed from the same events that traumatized Lisa and Janet. We'll get back to that, despite losing both of them in a similar way.
Okay, let's go visit your mom.
Yeah.
So both this scene and this one demonstrate how the ending of the film is healing for everyone. Taffy has a family, and they're processing the trauma instead of just ignoring it.
We came. Hello, Lisa.
While Lisa, who was separated from love at the beginning, now has it from both her sister and her husband.
Oh, Mary, dear, that you were here.
Overall, Lisa goes through a great heroine's journey. The last few steps go quickly, but plenty of groundwork was laid first, and Lisa is, after all, pretty impulsive.
Listen, we're running out of time. Make love to me.
So the movie concludes with a very satisfying ending for her, where she gets what she needed. Even if she wanted other things in the journey, her earliest desire is fulfilled.
I wish I was with you.
Unexpectedly, perhaps, but in the best possible way.
In the sky. This azure Italy.
A lot of the steps are very literal, and Lisa exemplifies the heroine's journey in a really fun way. Honestly, this movie was made for me specifically.
Dress code violation.
So let's wrap this up by digging into the source material here. Now, you've probably heard this before. Knowledge is knowing that Frankenstein is not the monster. Wisdom is knowing that Frankenstein is the monster. The point of the original book was that Frankenstein created life, going against God, and then failed to nurture the creature in any way, leading to him having no choice but to attempt to fit into society on his own, failing that, and deciding that the next best option was revenge. Mary Shelley dedicated this to her father, which is an amazing power move.
The publishers did not see that my purpose was to write a moral lesson of the punishment that befell a mortal man who dared to emulate God.
The story's been adapted a few times, and the most famous version is from 1931. Unfortunately, it is not very similar to the book at all, in a way I find frankly baffling. Like, why does this have nothing to do with the original? It inexplicably posits that the creature is evil due to having a criminal brain.
One of the most perfect specimens of the human brain that has ever come to my attention at the university. And here, the abnormal brain of the typical criminal.
And that emphasizes nature over whatever nurturing this fellow here gives it.
He's only a few days old, remember. The brain that was stolen from my laboratory was a criminal brain.
Another bizarre change is that Frankenstein and his best friend have their first names switched. So this is Henry and that's Victor.
What? What?
But the sequel, The Bride of Frankenstein, took fewer liberties with the story and returned to the theme Mary Shelley provided, namely that nurturing the creature gives him a way to express himself nonviolently and offers the potential of his taking part in society, including having a wife.
I want friend like me.
Except she finds him repulsive, as all other women in the film have. And in cohesion with his book self, he ensures mutual destruction with a mad scientist who sought to create such unholy beings.
You stay. We belong dead.
They invented Doctor for this one to keep Henry, as our protagonist, I guess, but I appreciate that it gets the vibes right. So what about Lisa? Is she the monster of Lisa Frankenstein?
Hands up. Okay.
Let's start with comparing her to Victor. While you may be picturing him as someone who looks like this, or even this, the book was not about a professor or scientist completing his life's work. It was about a young man who dropped out of college after successfully proving his weird ideas could be true, and subsequently having to rest his nerves for a long time.
Perhaps death is sacred, and I've profaned it.
I'm saying that, unlike me, Victor never got a doctorate, so I will not be calling him Dr. Frankenstein. What's relevant here is that Victor was likely 18 or 19, the same age as Lisa when the monster was created, and the same age as Mary Shelley herself when she wrote the tale. I don't know if you remember being that age, but I think the behavior of both of these protagonists make a lot more sense with the impulsiveness of youth involved.
Oh, can't you see I mustn't be disturbed? You'll ruin everything. My experiment is almost completed.
I can't do that. Not until we bury the body.
So I really like that Lisa is aged to match the book protagonist instead of aged up like so many adaptations do with a lead character. The second thing I really like about Lisa versus Victor is how the creature is created. Now, the novel is composed of Victor telling his story to a Robert Walton, who finds him in the Arctic while on his own ambitious and dangerous journey. Victor is unwilling to share exactly what he did to create life because he doesn't want Robert to replicate it, but it likely involved galvanism, and he was certainly a grave robber. This whole thing is just from the movies, by the way, which of course had to make it more cinematic. Lisa has two methods for bringing her creature back from the dead. Initially, it's the result of a lightning storm and is not something she did. We'll come back to this. After that, they use a shorted out tanning bed to shock him back to life incrementally.
Can you hear me?
Oh, it's alive!
Yeah!
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
This occurs in the shed where all of Taffy's beauty pageant winning paraphernalia is kept, including the bed itself, which was a prize she won.
I promised I'd use my title to help other people. And that includes sharing the grand prize with those in need.
This removes the place of creation from a mad scientist lab and into a very feminine place, something many people would dismiss as frivolous, but emphasizes that our two leading ladies are experts in their fields.
When I won Junior Miss Hawaiian Tropic,
Taff just had a 3-hour cheer practice.
Well, you know that my hair is too healthy and too silky to hold a crimp.
I finally got my standing back tag.
Along the same vein, Lisa's direct involvement is an activity usually seen as distinctly feminine.
How tiring can it be to sit hunched over a sewing machine like an old lady?
She is a seamstress. That's her job. And I absolutely love that.
I can always count on her to work on Saturdays because she can't get a date.
Now, longtime watchers of the channel may know how I feel about Frankenstein, goth culture, and macabre comedy.
12 men down the cellar and you admit you poisoned them?
Yes, I did. But you don't think I'd stoop to telling a fib?
So I was already seated for this movie, but when I saw this clip, that made me go out and see it right away. The fact that our leading lady isn't a scientist at all, but uses an essential skill, often seen as lesser than because of its association with women, to bring her creature back to life, it's perfect.
Well, I'm sure Lisa's fingers hurt from all that sewing.
Eventually a callus just forms.
Don't I know it?
Anyway, overall, Lisa's the same age as Victor when the creation occurred. Both were traumatized and were subsequently ostracized from society, though that happened before these events for Lisa and mostly after for Victor. Both engage in social taboos for the sake of their creation. Neither bond with their fathers after tragedy strikes, further alienating them from family as well as society. Both have a stepsister, and their relationships to her are severed because of the creature's actions. Both end the story having left behind their lives to journey with the creature instead. One is a tragedy, the other achingly romantic.
I made him with these hands, and with these hands I'll destroy him.
There's no other way. I don't know how I was ever afraid of you.
But just because they find themselves in similar situations does not mean the characters are similar. Victor gives life to the creature and abandons it. Lisa has him show up on her doorstep and quickly decides to help him.
I have the cure.
Ooh. Lisa helps her creature gain humanity. Victor leaves his to scrape for any sign of human affection, and it goes badly every time.
But she's been murdered.
Yeah!
Good. Why do you do this?
In fact, Lisa is quite unlike Victor, as it turns out, and that's because she recognizes herself in the creature while Victor is horrified at the thing he created.
My work. Those horrible days and nights.
I'm gonna turn on the college station. It's for people like us with feelings.
That is likely the result of their upbringing. Victor was a coddled nobleman with nothing much to vex him until he brought all his sorrows upon himself.
Now I know what it feels like to be gone.
Lisa, on the other hand, lost her mother to an axe murderer in a Bride of Frankenstein mask and suffered from traumatic mutism for years.
She's still in a daze. Just looks at me and says nothing.
Victor chose to pursue his project at all costs.
Oh, can't you see I mustn't be disturbed? You'll ruin everything.
Lisa's creature just shows up one day, so she has no agency in either of the two biggest events of her life. Put a pin in that. In The Bride of Frankenstein, they need a heart for their creature, and this assistant goes out to get a fresh one. This Frankenstein turns a blind eye, but murder was certainly committed, so the project could continue. They take this woman's heart and this woman's bones, and presumably other women were dismembered off screen to create the bride. She has no agency in her own creation, and it directly took the life of at least one other woman.
Yes, very sad, only we can't bother about that now.
Also, she can be created with the single purpose of being the companion to the creature.
Woman. Friend. Why?
In the book, Victor destroyed her, not because of the morals of her creation weighing on him, but because he dreaded a race of the creatures. But that's not the real issue here with creating an Eve for this Adam. The problem is, as Bride explores, what if she doesn't want to be his companion? The creature's convinced to go along with this because he wants a friend, a wife, to keep him company since society rejects him. But she's not offered the same choice to decide between how society might treat her and how he might. Instead, she is horrified of him, as all these other women were, and as anyone would be for this child bride situation. She had no agency in being brought back to life, in what is expected of her once alive, and none in her subsequent re-death.
We belong dead.
So Victor has all the agency over basically everything in the book. Even the creature's actions are usually a direct result of Victor's choices, while the bride had no agency at all in her short existence. Lisa Frankenstein is clearly in conversation with the Bride movie, not least because of using murder to obtain body parts for the creation process.
I'm really sorry you got electrocuted, Lisa.
Lisa is like the bride in that horrible tragedy caused her to lose the ability to speak. She had no agency in her loss or in being presented with the creature as a companion. Even her death is the same, caused by the creature. No wonder she reacts the same way. But Lisa and her creature are not newly made like the Bride and Frankenstein.
You had a whole life. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I do.
Her experience with having no agency, of not being able to express what she wanted, and of being ostracized from society ensures that she is quickly willing to empathize with the creature and to help him in ways she likely needed help when her mother died.
This? Water.
This movie comments on the lack of agency of the bride and of other women in a similar situation, like Lisa in Weird Science, from which our Lisa gets her name, by giving our protagonist the ability to choose her own future.
But I don't want to die a virgin.
Make sure you set it to max bronze.
Lisa is the bride and she is Victor.
It's alive! Oh, it's alive!
But she gets something neither of them do: agency and true companionship. After she helps the creature get dressed, he picks out her clothes for her. And that gives her a boost in confidence that leads to her pursuing what she wants for the rest of the movie.
I'm so glad that you came.
But as we're seeing Lisa have the freedom to make choices that the characters who inspired her creation could not, we also see a frank depiction of how women are treated in the world.
Has a cross pendant and she's wearing Elizabeth Taylor White Diamonds perfume. Yeah. She's a bitch.
Janet lost her father in Vietnam.
No one coddled me when my dad blew up in Da Nang. And that is why I am the way I am today.
And thinks that she's an IP.
I'm an IP. Intuitive person.
Insisting that she just pushed through her trauma and that's what Lisa should do. While obviously not having gotten over what happened and likely projecting onto Lisa.
She needs help. Residential treatment.
When Janet is missing, Taffy tells Lisa,
You don't have to worry about anything because your mom's already been murdered.
Ah yes, the inevitable fate of women, after all. Taffy is stereotypically feminine, a beauty pageant queen. It's obvious that Lisa's father prefers that quality in a daughter.
Heck yeah. You should be proud, Taff.
Taffy, where are you going? Taffy, what time are you going to be back? He's obsessed.
After all, the only time he notices Lisa in the movie is to question her nail polish.
Lisa, what is up with your nails? White out? Is that a rad new trend or something?
When Taffy suffers the same trauma as Lisa, losing someone to an axe murderer, she is ignored completely. As Lisa was when the creature arrived. In a scene reminiscent of her original trauma, society has no place for traumatized girls, as Lisa says.
After my mom died, everyone was in such a hurry to go back to normal. And they kept acting like I had a problem because I couldn't stop missing her. I started to feel like I was going crazy. And pretty soon everybody seemed like they were almost excited to move on and forget about her.
That's the theme of this whole movie.
Time heals all wounds. But that's a lie. Time is the wound.
Unlike Victor, who becomes a pariah when he chooses to pursue his macabre aspiration, Lisa was already a pariah.
So what exactly happened to her?
Hi, sorry, how do we know each other?
Just a couple classes.
Can one of you guys bring Lisa home at the end of the day?
And not because of anything she did, just because of what happened to her. People don't notice her until she starts to reclaim it. And that's why this movie is so compelling, so unabashedly feminine while confronting that womanhood is treated as monstrous. Either be simple and sweet, or be seen as weird.
That's really weird, Lisa.
Unappealing.
Because she can't get a date.
It just was never gonna work out between us. I don't have feelings for you like that.
Avoidable.
It's the girl next door. She's very odd.
Monstrous.
She needs help. Residential treatment.
You know, there's a rumor that she killed her own mother.
What?
My favorite part of the whole film is here, when Lisa calls out Byronic men for wanting the cheerleader instead of someone with similar interests.
You like cool movies and music and stuff, but only for you. You want to be the smart one who likes cool stuff, and you don't want your girlfriend to like cool stuff. Do you know how uncool that is?
Hey, remember how much everyone liked this moment in the Barbie movie? Yeah, this was my Barbie monologue. Much more applicable to my daily life.
I'm not making any more comments. You can talk to my lawyer.
Anyway, Lisa, unlike the bride, knows what it means to be rejected by society, so when the creature arrives, she can empathize instead of being horrified.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, don't cry.
I've saved the best adaptational moment for last. When Victor destroys the bride, the creature tells him that he will be with Victor on his wedding night.
I was foretold of this. I was told beware my wedding night.
And he is. After Victor marries Elizabeth, his sort of stepsister, don't worry about it, the creature kills her. And that leads to Victor pursuing the creature, his only companion, to the ends of the earth for the rest of his life.
And with these hands, I will destroy him. I must find him.
The bride in the movie was created to be the creature's companion until the end of time.
You have created a man. Together, we will create his mate.
But refused. Which still results in spending the rest of her life with him.
We belong dead.
And how does Lisa's wedding night go? Well, first, she intends to go see Michael Trent as her last act alive.
I'm just gonna do it tomorrow. I'm just gonna offer my body to him.
But is prevented from it by both her stepsister and the creature. Unlike Victor, she saves her stepsister from being killed by the creature and is able to heal that relationship before she leaves.
You are my sister.
Then, as promised, she spends her wedding night with the creature, but as his bride, not his victim.
Even as I wander, I'm keeping you in sight.
She chooses to spend the rest of her life, and then the rest of eternity, with him. Their relationship was not that of creator and creature, but one of mutual companionship, building each other up and being the only ones to understand the other.
I love our conversations. Yeah. Good night.
Lisa shares some similarities with the mad scientist of the book, and even more with the bride, down to also being a redhead, by the way. But unlike either of them, she chooses her future. And that's why the end of this movie is alone among adaptations in being a happy one.
Oh, Mary, dear, that you were here.
So is Lisa more than a love interest? Absolutely. Her future husband is her shadow, used narratively to flesh out Lisa and to give her someone with whom she can express herself.
I don't know why I'm talking so much. I haven't said this many words in a row in forever.
I tell you everything.
Lisa's character arc is well defined and a shockingly literal example of the heroine's journey.
Shit is transpiring, man.
This movie takes what was true of the female characters in the history of this story and plays with that, building instead a story about a woman taking control of her trauma, putting herself in the shoes of those who hurt her, and creating an ideal companion as a result.
You saved me.
It's a perfect adaptation of the tale, and immediately an iconic addition to the monster universe.
My Aunt Shelley gave it to me for Christmas.
Thank you for listening to me talk about a Halloween icon. For our next episode, we'll return to our Disney princesses just in time for Moana 2. Please like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, join my Patreon, buy me a coffee, all the things so you don't miss it. See you then.